Gary Edward Geddes, psychologist, psychotherapist. We're on our 70-day challenge discussions. We're in the end of the fourth week, pretty much so. I hope you're doing well. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of May, 2025. I'm here in my little studio here in Lausanne. I'm not outside this evening because it's cold and wet and miserable. I can't be bothered to go outside for that. So we're here indoors. So that's okay. And this evening, I'm going to talk about being imprisoned by your success, which is a subject that came up in discussion this morning with my wife. And as usual, I talk a little bit about myself and my day, because I'm also doing the 70-day challenge with you. So it's nice for you to know that I'm conscious that we need to do things and sacrifices and efforts and things like that. However, today has been a bit different than usual. And that's because my wife has been doing a teaching day. She's been giving courses and doing workshops and all sorts of interesting things. She's a psychiatrist and she's a teacher as well. Excellent teacher. She teaches other professionals, not children, professionals. And she's been doing that for something like 20 years now. She's been, since quite early on in her career, she's been called to teach. And we had a discussion this morning as I was driving her, since I'm her taxi service, about being blocked or imprisoned in your success. And we're reflecting how much, because she's often called to teach, because that's something she does incredibly well, and she gets incredibly good feedback, and she keeps getting called, and that's what she's been doing for over 20 years. And we reflected on how much she would want to teach more or not teach and things like that. And we're reflecting on what happens when you're very successful in something and how much it can be positive or it can have something negative in it. Because after all said and done, she's a psychiatrist, but she wants to follow patients and look after them and not necessarily be teaching, although she does enjoy teaching. And as I say, she is incredibly good. That's why she's so much in demand. So I came back, I saw a few patients, I did quite a lot of administration, and then I went to pick her up again, which means I didn't do any fitness today. I didn't go to the gym, which is unusual for me. It's not a bad thing. It gives my muscles a bit of time to recuperate. So I went yesterday. I'll definitely go tomorrow. So it's not a huge thing, but it's interesting to know that I have a slight guilty feeling because I've not done it. And that's interesting, because to get into a habit, I don't like doing the fitness. I don't like the gym. I find it boring, uninteresting. And I would say a waste of time, in the fact is that I've got so many other things that I could be doing. So it is a waste of my time, but I still do it because it's part of the 70-day challenge and it's part of my habit now. So that's why I've started to feel guilty. But anyway, no worries. I'll carry on. I'll catch up tomorrow. So, subject: imprisoned by your own success. The first part of that I've reflected on are children, because I often have patients that have been very successful as children in certain areas, especially in sport and a bit in music. Music somehow it's less bad, but I know how much pressure it is, because my son is student of the piano, so he works incredibly hard. He has an awful lot of stress and a lot of pressure. So I can see firsthand how tough it is to be good at something, for people to see how good you are, and then for people to take you on board and then sort of like push you and carry you and drag you forward, maybe beyond what's comfortable. And I've had quite a lot of patients that have been quite successful as children. I've had someone that was a natural swimming champion. I've had people that were champion runners, champion gymnast. I've had them that have been very successful, but not particularly happy, because the problem is the success means they've had to sacrifice so much of their childhood to carry on doing these things. Swimmers, they have to be, I think, like 5 or 6 o'clock. Most days they have to be in the pool swimming, and then they have to do, obviously, gymnastics and things like that, sports. Gymnasts, constantly 2, 3, 4 times a week. They need to train, especially if they get to a quite high level. Runners don't seem to be quite as forced to be, but I think that they do quite a more mixed sort of training with the fitness training and some swimming and obviously a lot of running. But anyway, what happens is they are dragged, they're sucked in to success. And of course, there's an enormous amount of benefits for that. Of course, there is the benefits. You're there, people appreciate you, they take you here, they take you there. Oh, I've also had a patient that was quite successful horse riding as well. Again, the investment becomes very, very, very heavy. And even though it's something that presumably at the beginning they really, really like doing, and sometimes it gets to the point where they just hate it and they can't get out of it because they're so successful and everybody expects so much of them. Everybody else has invested so much in them and they find it difficult to get out of it. So that's just one situation where people get into success that after a moment doesn't work for them. Another situation is professionally, that you are doing a job and then for some reason you're asked to take on a slightly managerial role for something, a moment, someone's sick or whatever, and you're good at it. You're good at dealing with people. You understand, obviously, the profession because you've been doing it. And slowly, 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 you get drawn into a more managerial role. And I have quite a lot of contact with doctors that have gone up slightly in the hierarchy. And they complain indirectly to me, but they complain in general that what happens is they come into the profession to be doctors. And then after a while, in the normal scheme of things, they go up a bit. And that every time they go up a level, they go away one step away from the patients. So they go from being what they call a chef de clinic. I have no idea what that would be in English. Um, they are responsible for 2, 3, 4 other doctors under them, first assistants. And their job is to look after them, to organize them, to see that they're doing their job, and to be responsible for reports. And first step away, they, instead of being with their patients most of the time, they maybe have 2 or 3 patients that they can follow because they don't have time for anything else. And then they go up one more, maybe they can keep one patient, yeah, as a sort of like special thing. And they go away from being doctors and they go towards being administrators. And it's so wonderful to given a new position, a new status, and more money, and it sounds great. But some of them realize afterwards that what they came into the profession to do, they're not doing anymore, and that in itself is another problem when you go up in a profession. And most professions, you start off hands-on. And as you go up, you go further and further away from the actual job that you are attracted to do. Then you become an administrator. So that's a second one. So then we have other types of problems. We have problems of people that are good at something that starts off really good because they enjoy what they're doing, they're into it, they have their lifestyle. For instance, one of the things that's quite problematic are TV series. You get someone that's got offered a TV series and they think, okay, I'll give it a go. Maybe it'll be fun, maybe not fun. I mean, there's actually stories of actors that have got involved in TV series. I think in Star Trek there was a story of that, where the actor didn't want to do it, And he was told, well, it's only going to last a short while. It's not going to succeed. It gets good money, so do it. And then it's a success. And then they get stuck. Because what do you give up a good salary, something that's solid at least year on year, because you don't really like doing it, or because it's not really the type of person you are, because you're asked to act in a way that doesn't really suit you, or do you just appreciate the success and the store quality and the money that comes in? And the other problem with that, of course, is typecasting. Because if you're in a long running series, it gets more and more difficult afterwards to do anything else because they always see you as that character. And then another dimension of typecasting is when you get an actor that is known for playing a certain type of role, because Hollywood, they like actors that keep playing the same role because they know that the public will come to see them playing that role. It's sort of, it's true in itself. It's a truism. Now, it's fine if you really enjoy doing that and you find fun in it and you just carry on doing the same thing. But generally, after a while, we tire of most things that we do all the time, and we want to do something else. And so you take certain actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger was known for big muscles and not speaking much, and Conan the Barbarian. I forgot the name of the other stuff now. It's gone. It's come back. Terminator, and that's what he was known for. And after a while, he got bored with it. And I'll talk about what happens when you get bored with your roles in a moment, because we are not blocked. We're not stuck in what we do. We can get out. We can do something else. For instance, one of the reasons why the group Berlin broke up, they were not very happy to begin with. That group was also problematical. But the song "Take My Breath Away," which was a super hit, but actually they didn't write it and they didn't create it. It was just by accident that someone else wrote it. The lead singer for Berlin recorded it as a demo. The people loved it. I think it was for The Bodyguard. I'm not sure which. Was it Top Gun? I think it was Top Gun. Now, try and remember these things. And it was a huge success. And they were pressured by the label to add it to their album, the next album they put out. And then the public wanted it. And they didn't want it. They hated it because it wasn't theirs. It wasn't their type of music, but it was a huge success. And that was one of the main elements which broke up the group. Or you get many, many, many stories of singer-songwriters that have recorded a hit, and the public, whenever they go on a concert, ask them to play it, which is sort of normal. 6 months, a year, 2 years, until the next album comes out. But no, if it's a big hit, they're constantly asked to play it and sing it. And there are many, many, many stories of very famous singers and groups that learn to hate their most successful tunes. They're imprisoned by their success, and they want to get out of it. They want to do other things, and the public won't allow them to. So what happens when you become typecast? What happens when you become successful in something, and people expect you to continue to do what you're doing, even though maybe it wasn't what you wanted to do in the first place, and you did it as a stand-in, you did it as a favor, you did it because you thought it wasn't going to last, but it was a good deal in the time. Or maybe it was something you did like, something you did appreciate, something you enjoyed. And then after a while, after quite a long period of time, being forced to continue exactly on the same path, not to have much freedom, not to have creativity, and you might have other things in your life that you're interested in doing or in being, and you're stuck because people appreciate you. People valorize you. It feeds your ego. It fills your narcissistic need to be doing whatever it is. Maybe you win a lot of money from doing something. It doesn't matter. For instance, just imagine you work in the money markets, a trader. Traders earn a lot of money. They go in, they're very keen, they're very excited, and it's this high adrenaline life. And it's wonderful, and they live like at the top, and you have to think fast and talk fast and do things. People get burnt out. What happens when a trader who is used to being successful, whose company is used to them being successful, realizes they're getting burnt out, they're getting destroyed by their profession? And even the people around them, maybe their partners or other people around them, are used to them having loads of money because they're so successful in it. And they say, I cannot continue. Well, when you say to yourself, I cannot continue, you need to listen. If you feel that maybe you're not on the right track, and yesterday I spoke a bit about being on the wrong track because of being pressured by other people or forced by other people to have a goal which isn't yours. But being successful is not quite the same thing. Being successful is it's usually to some degree really is your goal. It's something that you have invested in because you're good at it and you get a lot of positive feedback because you're successful. And that makes it much more difficult to let it drop because the sacrifices and the losses that you're going to have, and maybe very negative feedback from a lot of people, it's not that easy. And it is a big risk. It's a big risk to step back from your success or from something that you know is going to succeed. That's why I spoke about Arnold Schwarzenegger on his action movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger, after a while, he decided he wanted to do other things. And he and Danny DeVito, who was much more flexible, if you like, as an actor, they made two comedy films, Baby, which Arnold Schwarzenegger was pregnant, and The Twins, in which they were rather not identical twins, which was an action comedy, but it was still a comedy. So he'd moved out of comedy. Also, Kindergarten Cop was a sort of, again, action comedy thing. I don't know what other comedies he'd done, but he sort of started to mix it up quite a lot more. And then you've got other people that are basically comedians, were basic comedians, have come up that way. You've got Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks' first feature film, I think, was Big, which was daft fantasy comedy, I would say. And then he was in Mermaid, I think, with Daryl Hannah, which was about him being in relationship with a mermaid. So he was into sort of daft light comedies. And then after a while, he just like, he wanted to do something else, something deeper. And so he made Philadelphia. It was a really heavy film. It's a wonderful film, excellent film, but it wasn't in any way a comedy. And after that, he started to make films that were serious, more weight. What is interesting is often comedy actors make incredibly good serious films. They have a richness about them. They have a value about them that is really, really important. That's really that works. So I think Gene Wilder made a serious film at one point. He played something very serious. So they come to mind. I got these things from time to time. I'm talking and then I think, what about this? What about that? And you've got you got musicians that were in groups that became they got individuals. Sting uh, started a solo career. Um, I have another singer coming to mind, but I just can't think of his name for the moment. It'll come to me tomorrow, more than likely. That have come and have taken the risk to leave the safety of their groups. Yeah, you can see the Beatles split up and they created other groups, or they did individual albums and things like that. It can be done, but it's risky. I understand it's risky. You're going to lose a lot. If you have a success and you walk away from that success, you will lose a lot. However, what I tend to find is that successful people, even if they change what they do, they move away from the success, they move away from what is safe, and they try something else. They often succeed because they expect success. People expect them to succeed. So there's a sort of an aura about them, maybe you, that says, hey, I can be a successful person no matter what I do, no matter where I'm at. And there are quite a lot of stories of people that have been successful in one profession and either have left big enterprises and started their own startups. I think did DreamWorks. That some people that left Disney. I don't remember now, but there's the stories of that. There are stories of people that have left. Two or three of them have left a big corporation and set up something themselves, and eventually it's become highly successful. So you can leave a big company and start something else. You can leave a group and start something else. You can leave a profession and start something else. However, I have to say, this is your life. You're responsible for it. I'm on this side. I do whatever I think is appropriate for me, and I talk about ideas. And those ideas sometimes are dangerous. And I'm very aware of that. And I'm very aware that for many years I've stopped saying, do this. I say, why don't you do that? But be aware that if you do it, it's your life and you're responsible for it. And if it goes wrong, uh, you're going to have to assume that. So taking a risk is something that you need to think about. But if you're not living the life that you choose to live, if you feel literally imprisoned by your lifestyle, even if it's successful, it's worth to think about, because the further along you go, the less benefits and pleasure that success will bring you. If you're very successful and the next year you're very successful, the same. And the next year it's the same. And next year it's the same. And then we just get used to it. The money, it's the same. The status, it's the same. It stops having any excitement to it. It stops being really interesting. And the problem is that often when the benefits sort of flatten out, unfortunately, the costs tend to rise. You see quite a lot of businessmen, quite wealthy businessmen, that are deeply unhappy. You've got some that even commit suicide, and you don't understand why, because on outward appearances, they are incredibly successful in their lives. They have accomplished everything they need to accomplish. But you take people like Bill Gates. He retired from Microsoft. He was one of at the time, when you think about it, I mean, there's a lot of things have changed since. But at the time, he was one of the richest people in the world. And yet he retired from becoming more rich. And he just started to focus on his charities and what he could do to help people, because being more successful and Microsoft being more successful ceased to be attractive, ceased to be interesting. And he could have been imprisoned by his success, but he chose to break those chains. He chose to say, I've had enough of this. It was great. I've succeeded enormously, very wealthy, But now it's time to do something else. It's time to change that. And so that's what he did. And it's what, if you are in a situation where you are successful, but you are not happy deeply as a human being, you need to take that into account. Now, things are not black and white. You don't have to necessarily stop 100%. It's very possible that you're in a profession or a job that maybe it's possible to go down to 50% doing what you're doing and being successful and start something else on the side that might give you more value as a human being. Everything is possible. But just bear in mind that if you are not where you need to be as a human being, over a period of time, things will get worse. Your mental, emotional, psychological health, physical health, all of it, or any of that, can start to deteriorate. Relationships can deteriorate, your self-image can deteriorate, and it needs to be taken into account. So that's my message. If you are doing the 70-day challenge, be aware that, is the goal really the goal that you're really looking for? Is it something that's going to make you happy to go further? I was talking today, the last thing I'm going to talk about is that one of my next challenges is to do a 10-kilometer run in Lausanne. And I'm going to do that challenge over two 70-day periods, two 10-week challenges. And the first one, which is going to be from September till Christmas, will be to be able to do 5 kilometers. And then from January to March, and the 20 kilometers of Lausanne is in April. So I plan to do 10 kilometers then. And after that, if I succeed to do 10 kilometers at a good rate and I'm successful in it, I will stop. I will stop and do something else, because I don't need to keep being successful in the same thing, because especially for me in my 70-day challenge, every time I succeed a challenge, not that I want to lose any benefits that I've had, but if I want to go forward, I might need to change what the challenge is. So for the moment, it's general health and fitness. For the first challenge, it was mainly weight loss and loss physically. This challenge now, I've moved from weight loss more to general fitness, health, and muscle gain. The next one will be something I hate, which is running. So I'm going to start trotting, jogging, running, walking to do 5 kilometers. Next year, it'll be 10. And after that, the challenge after that is to get back to writing, because that's something I've let drop, and I'll do that because it's different. Because once the success is there, for me, in many areas, I don't need to go further. I don't need to go and do a 20-kilometer challenge. I don't need to go and do a full marathon of 40 kilometers. I don't need to start going around the world doing marathons to show just how fit I am and how healthy I am and how I can succeed to go from nothing to full marathons in a year or something like that. It's not interesting. The success will not chain me, will not imprison me. And I hope it will not imprison you. So be flexible, be free, question your success and see if it really is something that is right for you. And if it's not, then reflect how you can change it. And like with everything in life, there's no one answer, there's no one way. It's not black and white. But reflect. If you find that what you're doing is right for you, see if you can change it. Maybe you need to change it only slightly. You go away a little bit from that success and find something else that's close. Or maybe you need to have a drastic change. I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of this evening. Something for you to reflect on. If you find this interesting, you please like, please subscribe, share with your friends. Remember, this is free. We're here to help and to support people. Know that does help and support you. And as I've said, I'm here 6 nights a week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. CEST, Central European Summertime, 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays. And the other thing is that Sunday is now hypnosis, meditation, relaxation. So it's a slightly different sort of moment together. So I wish you well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. Keep going. I'm sure you're doing well. I'll speak to you on Saturday.